Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today, Monday, May 19th edition. I am Marsh and I am joined this Monday morning by Siege on a Monday Siege where we had a big old day of basketball hoops. First off, how are you? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Every day I get more hoops is a good day in my book. So, grade 8 tickets punched. We're excited about that. We're going to get more grade 8 tickets punched tonight. So, it's just a good time to be alive.
And we'll get to your favorite grade 8 appearing team, which would be the Alabama Crimson Tide as they march on with looked close, didn't really feel close win. But let's start with Game 7, and that was the Thunder beating the Denver Nuggets last night in the Western Conference semis. Books a ticket with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I believe that series starts on Tuesday night. I thought that was a huge game. Particularly Siege, the closing minutes of the second quarter for the Thunder. Game was 3 points at that point. The Thunder go on a tear, and it kind of felt like a stretch that could change who this team is. Now, obviously, that could change with the conference finals, but this just felt like a team that was getting over that first roadblock, that first hump as they march on.
Yeah, it's. I think people counted the Nuggets out a little too soon, in my opinion, because of the reputation this Thunder team has gotten over the course of the season, which was well deserved. But that stretch looked great. I think that stretch was. I don't want to get too, metaphorical and deep with it, whatever you want to call it. They won a basketball game, and that's great. There's more to win, but that almost felt like a kind of a turning point in the maturity of this Thunder team. I think it's the first time they've really truly been tested in this series. Not in this series, but this series, and going to a Game 7 against Jokic and the Nuggets and everything. This was a big test. It was a team that is experienced, a team that has been there before, and a team that they really had to fight hard. They didn't roll over. And that stretch you were talking about, this Thunder team said, we're here. We're here. We're ready. We're young, but we're ready. We're not as experienced, but we're ready. And we can come up in the big moments. And so that to me, solidified even more so how legitimate this Thunder team really is.
Yeah, I don't know that we can make the claim right now, but I think if we look back at this and Oklahoma City ends up, the pathway is really favorable for the Thunder, right? I think they're going to match up well with the Timberwolves. I think they match up well with both the Knicks or the Pacers. I picked them at the beginning of the season to win the championship. I firmly believe they're still the best team standing. I still think they were the best team in general, regardless if they don't have to go through Boston or go through Cleveland. I still think they are the best team in basketball. But I think if they win, I personally will look back on this moment and say this is a team that had a chance to close out Denver in Game 6 on the road and couldn't. This is a team that said they wanted to play Denver for all the same reasons that you mentioned, to get over that hump, to have to face a team that's been there, that's experienced. And it felt like they trailed after the first quarter. They trailed for much of the second. And then it seemed like they have these two defensive possessions, a pair of steals, some big baskets by Jalen Williams, who was fantastic. And it just kind of felt like they were saying, it's like the first time you're riding a bike, right? And you keep falling. And then finally you just keep doing it and you realize, holy cow, I can actually ride this bike. I can actually do what I think I need to do. That, to me, was this realization from, because when they came out in the second half, there was no doubt that game was never getting close, and it never did, because Oklahoma City just seemed to play, granted they're at home, but played with this different level of confidence and just assuredness that I didn't recognize at any other part in that series.
I think it was a big maturation turning moment for this Thunder team. I think it's going to be looked back on if they do go on to win. But regardless, I'm super excited. I think this conference final matchups we have, regardless of what happens, is really, really good for the SWBA. Some young superstar is getting their first championship.
It's great.
Whoever it may be, whether it's Ant, whether it's Shea and crew, whether it's Jalen Brunson over there. And the thing is, most of these teams, a lot of these guys, all of them pretty much, other than, old Pascal Siakam, are getting their first title, and I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. And so I'm really excited for what's in store. I think this is a real turning of the guard from one era to the next in the SWBA until Giannis gets traded to his new team and wins another one there. But we can talk about that in another time. Real exciting time though.
And if only the SWBA takes this as a hint and starts marketing over the top Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, three small market teams, right? Oklahoma City and now, granted, all those guys have kind of flaws to their marketability, but regardless, maybe less Steph, LeBron, KD marketing, and maybe a little bit more of the next era. Speaking of the next era, like you mentioned, 4 tickets punched to the Great Eight, including for the first time since 1967, the SMU Mustangs are into the Great Eight, where they will await the winner of Maryland and Louisville. That's our 5:30 game later tonight. Your takeaways from SMU taking down St. Mary's?
Oh man, I mean I talked about it on the post up last night. I'm a big fan of this SMU team. I think they're the real Cinderella. We saw a lot of potential Cinderellas with the crazy number of upsets that we got through the first round or two. But to me, this SMU team, they look like a real Cinderella that we're used to seeing. They're very young in terms of their leaders in that Duval Cam Jones backcourt. Maury Washington has played above his pay grade in the tournament and really all season. Another freshman kind of doing it. And last night, I think what impressed me about the SMU team, it wasn't like these guys that I've mentioned were just world beaters and they looked, unstoppable in anything. They looked flawed. Cam Jones had a really inefficient night, but come down to the end of the game, he made some really big plays, both defensively. He made some big buckets. All 3 of those guys were able to make plays in big moments, despite maybe not having world-beating type games. And so my takeaway is this SMU team is not just being carried by luck or one thing or another. They're going to get it. They are hungry. They want it, and this is a team that that's why I say they feel like a real Cinderella team. They've got some of the makings, some high-scoring guards, things like that. And so for me, that's my takeaway is that this team, the freshmen can make plays when it matters.
This is a team, and I've got Cam Jones. He came on. We chatted on Saturday, so he's actually on the Marsh Pod later today, which I'm excited about. We did not talk about the St. Mary's game for obvious reasons, since it had not yet happened. But this is one of the things that I talked to him about. Was this was a group that at one point was a top 25 team. I mean, this was a team sitting in the back half of the top 25 in that very large group that I had talked about, and I think many people had also talked about, right? Was that group from like 20 to like maybe 35, 36, or 35, 40 range. That's like, I know there's a difference between these teams, but I can't quite figure out what that difference is, right? They're very similar in many ways. And I thought SMU was one of those teams that's very much like that. And I think the fact that they fell to 13, I think now we have all of this hindsight that we can use, but it's obvious this team was underranked. Like, this doesn't, to your point of like this was like a classic Cinderella team. Yes, but also I think this was a team that we really underranked, and in looking back and seeing what they've done. Now, granted, the knock on them, they've played one team that was the highest possible seed they could have played, right? Otherwise, they played a 12 seed and an 8 seed. They didn't have to beat Georgia Tech. They didn't have to beat Duke. But you play the schedule in front of them. And what they did, I think, is showing. If we reseeded, I think they're coming in as a 6 or a 7 seed, right? And it feels like this is a group that's finally starting to play like they should have been, or rather, like they were early on in the season, and not like they were when they got into conference play and just became a 500 basketball team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't necessarily agree. Maybe they could have been a little higher seeded. I think you look at the body of work from the regular season, and I personally think they were somewhat appropriately seeded. I think there were a lot of teams that weren't, but the body of work from the regular season wasn't great. But I do agree that this SMU team is better than a 13 seed. Whether it was correct seeding or not, they look good, and I'm excited to see if they can continue this this magical run.
So coming into the end of February, this team had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 losses. They ended with 15, I think. They ended starting on February 25th. They went through the rest of the regular season 2-5 to close out the regular season. 2-5. Then they beat Princeton. That's their final win of the regular season. And those losses, Jackson State, they made it to the second round. Houston, competitive team. Temple, no shows. Memphis, obviously we know their story. Richmond and Davidson. That was the losses that SMU had to close out the season. Davidson makes it to the Super 16. Who else did I mention on that group as I try to quickly go back and forth? Memphis, obviously, they get bounced early, but they're a 3 seed. Jackson State, they make it into the second round. They fall to a really good UCLA team. Princeton, they end up as a 5 seed. So they played this, Houston, they get in, and Houston, I think, got bounced, right, early on in this thing as I'm quickly scanning. So I think they just played this really tough schedule, and they didn't really rise to it. But I think what they've done here has been really impressive. And I think one of the things that impressed me most is the composure of this team, right? This is a young freshman-led team. I think their 5 starting guys are all freshmen, or at least their 5 biggest minute guys are freshmen. And they don't look it, Siege. They do not look it. They've looked absolutely fantastic through the first 3 games as they now await the winner of Louisville, Maryland, which we will get on Monday night. Let's go to the other side. Alabama, the lone 1 seed, continues to look like a 1 seed as they march past UNLV to book their ticket to the Grade 8, as now they are waiting the winner, Iowa and Arizona. Your thoughts on your Crimson Tide as they make it to the Grade 8?
I mean, look, it's not only the only 1 seed left; they're the only 1 or 2 seed left, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
This has been a slaughter for the higher seeds, but I think it's exactly what I expected from this Alabama team, because a lot of the other 1 seeds you looked at, and even the 2 seeds, a lot of them there was some star power. You look at a team like Kentucky, the Jamison Johnsons, the Glory Tates. You look at a team like Duke, the Cooper Flag, and I'm not saying those weren't well-rounded rosters beyond them, but this Alabama team is you don't know who the guy is going to be that night.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't, and they play such well-rounded ball. They play with such intensity. They get to the rim so well. They defend well. They are playing like a number 1 seed, which is a rare occurrence in this tournament, as mentioned before. And UNLV, it seemed a little closer than the game really felt, in my opinion, because of Nat Hawkins and what he's able to do. He really kept UNLV above water a little bit in that game before finally being drowned. But moving forward, I mean, what I will say is this next one for the Tide, the Grade 8 game, they're either going to get Arizona with Corey Yams, and who's been very impactful, and Theophilus Hilton and upperclassmen Juan Valentine, who have all been very good, coming off an electric win against Lamarion Sherwood in Iowa, or they're going to get a Iowa team that, if it weren't for the 6-7 game stretch without Lamarion Sherwood, is likely a number 1 seed.
Yeah.
So tough matchup coming up in the Grade 8 for this team. But again, the thing about the Tide is there's not a lot of holes in their biggest hole is their perimeter shooting, if we're being real. They don't have a lot of shooters on the outside since freshman Aiden Weaver decided to depart the team early in the season, but that obviously wasn't a huge roadblock for this team because of the way they play basketball, because of the way they play the game. And so for me, obviously seeding-wise, they're the heavy favorite in the tournament left. But even just from the eye test, to me, this is the team to beat now. And that seems obvious, but they're the team to beat in terms of composure, in terms of roster composition. They have the most experience in terms of heavy minute guys on the floor for really most any team in Hoops area left. This is the juggernaut left. Duke's gone. This is the juggernaut.
This is a team that I think it feels like the portfolio they put out there in the UNLV game should not have indicated a win, right? DJ Child's really bad. statistically 7 of 19. Rodrigo Falls, not a great night. Quincy Henderson, 2 of 7. As a team, they shot 42%. It was their defense on everybody not named Nat Hawkins, which is really what carried this team, like forcing Montel Cage to 1 of 11, forcing Jarrell Beauchamp to 4 of 10. Like, they're going to need that, Alabama is. But if you're looking at this group, and I think it's so matchup dependent. I had Iowa making the national championship game. I'm standing by that because that's the only thing I've got going for me right now in my quad. But it's going to be a challenging matchup. I still think Iowa. You're right. Iowa's a number 1 seed if Sherwood's healthy all season. Not only are they might be the number 1 seed. They lost 5 games all season with Lamarian Sherwood. They lost 5 games in the 5 games without him. I mean, he is that impactful. But I don't want to talk proverbial or hypotheticals until we see what Corey Yams has to say and the rest of Arizona. But what Alabama has done continues to just, again, to the same point that I made about SMU, not that Alabama was underranked. They obviously couldn't have been. But what I'm learning about this Alabama team is I want to, as a professional guy, right, as an association, SWBA guy, you look for the best player, right? And you look at our 4 teams that are left. Like, every single best player on the 4 teams left in the SWBA, that's an all SWBA talent, right? I don't know that Alabama has an all SimWorld U talent, right? They probably have a all SEC guy or 2, but they don't have like this, they don't have a Lamarian Sherwood. They don't have a Cooper Flagg. They don't have a Justin Bell, right? But what they do have is just insane depth, right? Dwayne Epps is a first-round pick. Quincy Henderson's a first-round pick. DJ Childs is coming back. He's a second-round pick right now. He's got a chance to up his game and become a first-round pick again. I think that there's a chance Rodrigo Falls could end up being a late first-round pick by the time he comes out. Having all of these options, you have this redundancy because if you are UNLV and you say, we get great stuff out of Nat Hawkins, but we need to have Jarrell Beauchamp be great for us to win. Alabama could say, well, we can have Quincy Henderson Siege go 2 of 7. Don't matter because we got Dwayne Epps going 5 for 5, right? We can have DJ Childs not being all that great at 7 and 19 and Rodrigo's Falls at 4 and 11, but that's okay because, well, Levin Cutler's going to pull in 12 boards for us, and he's going to get 6 points on putbacks, 2 offensive boards that keep these possessions rolling. The redundancy of options that Alabama has is unmatched in the entire league.
I mean, you're not going to get an argument from me there. It's what makes the team so dangerous. It's the team mentality. Anyone could have a bad night and they could still win, and anyone could be the star on any given night for this team. It's a perfect college basketball team. If they had a couple more shooters, it would be the perfect college basketball team.
Yes, they are dominant. They're the only number 1 seed. They're the only number 1 and 2 seed. We only have 2 3 seeds left standing, and that's 3 3 seeds. That's really the spot that you should have been in, right? If you're number 1 seed, you wanted the 3 seed, where Louisville, Iowa, and UCLA all play tonight. No number 4 seeds left now that UNLV is gone. So of the top 16 seeds in all of college basketball, 3 of them are left standing. And we very well could lose another 2 tonight in the second round of Super 16 action. Siege, I appreciate you coming on. Best of luck to your Crimson Tide. By the time we speak to you again next Monday, we will be previewing the quad. That is just how fast this stuff is rolling through as we get the second round of Super 16s tonight. That starts at 5:30. And then, of course, the Great Eights roll through the rest of the way starting on Wednesday. So, appreciate you taking this time, Siege. Like I said, good luck to your Crimson Tide. And we will talk to you all tomorrow morning here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.